My fence is giving all of my neighbors some serious pick and envy. Thanks, Superior Fence and Rail.
So get off the fence and call Superior Fence and Rail for your fence installation project today.
SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Good drives bring more points. Randy Marion Cadillac of Jacksonville brings you the drive of the game.
Great job.
On 1010XL. Drive to the game in luxury with Randy Marion Cadillac of Jacksonville. He's Hacker.
Talk about a fried egg. I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good late Monday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM. A lot of high school football games being made up all over Northeast Florida tonight because, obviously, of the weather last Friday. But you just heard the Parker Braves get a victory over Bishop Kenny. What a win for Parker. Their first win of the year, a district win at that. So Parker, very good win for them. For Bishop Kenny, that's a frustrating loss. There's no question about that. That drops them to 0-1 in district play. I believe the Bowles Bulldogs were victorious on the AM side of things over the Baldwin Indians as well. So obviously a lot of Jaguar talk tonight. Guest lineup looks like this. Coming up in about 15 minutes or so, Dave Campo will stop by. A little Monday night coaching with Campo, the former head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. We'll review the loss to Houston yesterday. Just a very depressing, very frustrating loss. No question about that. We'll start turning the page to Indianapolis. I guess if there is any silver lining, right, you got 3 games in a row now that you could hypothetically win. The Colts game at home, and then a couple of games in London against Chicago and New England. But 0-4, in fact, the Tennessee Titans are about to beat the Miami Dolphins, and at that point, Jacksonville will be the only winless team in the National Football League. So take a bow, Duval County. You are going to be the only team with a 0 in the W column remaining in 2024. We accomplished something in the first month of the year. So Dave Campo will join us. Gene Fournette of the Times-Union, Jacksonville.com will stop by as well. That's all coming up here in the first hour of Hacker After Dark. Every night here on HAD, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night and Casey Dobson. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal.
It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
I love doing the fifth quarter here on 1010XL on Sunday evenings after the Jaguars games go final, because the emotion is genuine. It's raw, not only for me and Dave Campo and Leon Searcy, but for you, all the people that we are privileged enough to have listen to us. It's a raw emotion show. It's a genuine emotion show, and I love it. But one of the things about doing the fifth quarter, and again, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world, is it's right after the game, right? You don't really have time to decompress and think. So last night I came on here and I was very critical of Doug Peterson, and with good reason. I still, more than a day and a half later, the 4th and goal, the quarterback draw was just nonsense, man. What an awful call. And I said last night on the Duval Rundown post-game show on YouTube with Gus Logue, and then here on the fifth quarter, that Doug might have lost me with that. Because, I mean, you're the worst short yardage team in the league. You decide to go for it on 4th and goal and run a quarterback draw after you run Tank Bigsby into the line twice. You throw a fade to Gabe Davis. It was an awful offensive series. You don't get it. And to me, not getting that 4th and goal was the equivalent of the ETN fumble in Miami. You lost the game there. I would have kicked the field goal, gone up 6, where you say, Hacker, Miami scored a touchdown. Well, yeah, they did. Or, I'm sorry, Houston scored a touchdown. Well, yeah, they did. But it is my opinion that a 6-point game compared to a 3-point game, the dynamics would have been different. Everything would not have happened the way it ultimately did because of Doug Peterson's decision to go for it on 4th and goal. And when you combine that with the 4-minute offensive drive where they went 3 and out, just like they did in Miami, the offense was terrible in the second half in critical situations. Just awful. And I was fuming, man. You know, we try to be objective broadcast journalists, right? I was pissed at the way they played in the second half on offense. I was. Life is better when the Jaguars win. I know some of you, for whatever reason, particularly when I was on prime time, maybe I was a little younger then, a little more immature then. I think I've gotten wiser here in the evenings on Hacker After Dark. I never want the Jaguars to lose. It's bad when they lose for everybody involved. It's better when they win. And the fact is, the offense has let them down time and time again in the first 4 games. But back to the original point, I was very critical of Doug Peterson last night. And again, I still think he was bad. But I went back and I watched it earlier today. Man, I'll tell you this. Right now, could it change on Sunday against Indianapolis? Yeah, and hopefully it does. But right now, as I'm talking to you, on the 30th day of September in 2024, we got a Trevor Lawrence problem, man. He wasn't very good yesterday in spurts when you needed him to be good. Look, did he have some good throws? Yeah, he did. A couple of Brian Thomas Jr. hookups, a couple of throws to Christian Kirk. But when it was crunch time, and when it was time to go, and it was winning time, it was the witching hour, how it's referred to on NFL Red Zone, and you got your $55 million man, the quarterback back there, and you need a couple of throws for some first downs to run out the clock, or you need to hit Christian Kirk or Brian Thomas down the field for what would have been touchdowns, Trevor didn't do that. In fact, he missed most of them pretty badly. You know, here in Jacksonville, for years and years and years, we've had to live through the Colts getting Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck, right? And we have to live through Patrick Mahomes going to Kansas City. And we've had to live through Dallas hitting it with Dak Prescott in round number 4. And we've had to live through all these different things, man. It's never us. It's never our time with the quarterback. And then the planets aligned in 2020, and they were terrible. The very same year that we knew Trevor Lawrence was coming out into the draft. You draft Trevor with Urban Meyer, who that was awful in 2021. But then Doug Peterson, from 4-8 in 2022 to winning 6 games in a row, including the playoffs, and then going 8-3 to begin 2023, Trevor Lawrence as a starting quarterback for that, what is that, 18-game stretch was 14-4. The end of 22 and the first 11 games of 23, 14-4. We were living our dream. You, the fans, we, the media, everybody that has a vested interest in the Jacksonville Jaguars, we were living our dream with our franchise quarterback. The last 7 games of 22, the first 11 games of 23. And since that moment that they were going 14-4, Thanksgiving of 2023, since that moment, Trevor Lawrence has now lost 9 starts in a row. 9. We went from living our dream to, in classic Jaguar form, having it completely yanked out from under us, and now we're kind of living our nightmare. Because you, I'm sure, like I am, are now questioning, is Trevor the guy? Well, I got an answer for that question. And the answer is it doesn't matter. We paid him. The Jaguars paid him. The Jacksonville Jaguars don't have a choice. Trevor, the question isn't, is Trevor the guy? Trevor has to be the guy. So whatever slump he's in right now, he needs to get out of it. And the question is Doug Peterson the guy to get him out of it? Here's my one critique of Doug. Is he on the hot seat? Yeah, I probably believe he will be if he isn't already. And to me, it has nothing to do with play calling necessarily. I think that's an overblown story. To me, it's simple. The Jacksonville Jaguars in 2022 did a lot of things well at the end of the year under Doug Peterson's leadership. Now here we are less than 2 calendar years later, and they're worse at almost every spot imaginable in the game of football. From where they were at the end of 22 to where they are now at the beginning of 24, they're a worse football team. On offense, Trevor Lawrence has regressed. They're not getting to the quarterback on defense. They're a worse football team. Doug Peterson, you need to make them a better football team. You haven't done that. Your top football as this team's head coach was in 2022. It's not in 2024. That's a problem. And the franchise quarterback that we've put our hope and our faith in has regressed in a major, major way. Hopefully they figure it out. But I will tell you this. I'm not holding my breath on them figuring it out. Because it has been bad for the last 9 Trevor Lawrence starts. And yesterday, they probably lost that game in large part, not entirely, but in large part, to the performance of Trevor Lawrence. 641-1010 on the text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Your thoughts welcome. Let's also grab a quick call here, a late night call on Hacker After Dark. Let's get Eric in here on 1010XL. Eric, what do you got?
Hacker, love the show. Best sports radio in all of football. I got to tell you what, just because we're 0-4, it doesn't mean it's over. I mean, was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? No. Joe Flacco, when he comes into Everbank Field, we're going to hit him and hit him again and hit him so hard he's not going to know what to do anymore. And I got to tell you what, I'm really fired up about this football team. They showed a lot of guts on offense. The one thing I didn't like, though, was when every time Lawrence crossed his arms over his chest, they check into the run. I mean, where's the element of surprise? We got to figure out how to execute and keep the defense on their toes. We got to establish the run. We got to use play action. We got to let the talent of Trevor Lawrence flourish. That's all I got. And thanks for taking my call, Hack.
Eric, appreciate it. You know what? That's an amazing call because I was hinting sarcasm the entire way through that call. But I don't really know if there was sarcasm there. That was interesting.
I don't think so. And it was the Japanese, bro. They were the ones who bombed Pearl Harbor,
right,
not the Germans.
No, he was quoting
I get
Animal House.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well,
that was an Animal House reference.
I've never seen that movie.
You've never seen it? Yes. Sorry. No, Animal House. Good movie. Good movie. One of a famous movie line. I'm actually shocked you don't know about that.
I'm sorry, man.
No, you're good. Yeah, Trevor's done a lot of things that I don't agree with. He audibles at the line, which I don't like. I also don't like being the only winless team in the NFL, which is what the Jaguars are about to become. We actually got calls on a late night edition of Hacker After Dark. Interesting. I did not expect this. I'll tell you what, if you want to get involved, 641-1010, let's step aside, go and light up the phone lines if you want to get involved. Dave Campo, Gene Fournette coming up in the next 40 minutes. But we will take your phone calls coming up next at 641-1010 with Casey Dobson. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you're with us. A late night edition of Hacker After Dark on a Monday right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
Relive the best moments from the weekend's games.
That's what superstars do.
Post-game Monday. Expert analysis of Sunday's game all day. Brought to you by Dandy Foods, makers of quality fresh sandwiches and home of the good stuff on 1010XL.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool?
Today's contestant, a dust bunny breeder from Jacksonville, Florida, meet Steve Johnson. Welcome to the show, Steve.
It's great to be here, Alex.
Yeah, you don't have to answer in the form of a question, Steve.
What is this game show?
See, that's another question.
Are you going to ask me about air conditioners?
Yeah, okay. How about we just send the Bueller guys over and you can annoy them with all your questions? Johnny?
That's right, Steve. Bueller Air and Plumbing can answer all your air conditioning questions. Repair options, replacement models, and how to make your AC last longer while saving electricity. Making sure you are cool.
Where is the parking lot?
You're killing me, Steve. Stay cooler with Bueller. Visit BuellerAir.com.
Here's your 1010XL community calendar of local events and nonprofit groups helping people here at home.
Help make Jacksonville safer and play a round of golf at the First Coast Crime Stoppers Golf Tournament, October 21st at Amelia River Club.
If you're a dog lover who wants to help animals, our furry friends need exercise and time out of their kennels. You can make a difference in a dog's life at volunteer@jackshumane.org.
There's a critical need for all blood types. Please consider donating to a local blood donation center.
Dreams Come True is the only local wish-granting organization giving dreams and special times to local children battling life-threatening illnesses. Find out how you can help at dreamscometrue.org.
Her Song is a nonprofit organization that breaks the cycle of human trafficking through survivor care, victim outreach, and education. Find out how you can help at hersong.org.
You can find out how to share your community event at 1010XL.com.
Awaken 180 weight loss. Awaken 180 weight loss. You know, on February 17th, I weighed 317 pounds. And now here we are, 7.5 months later, and I am at the 98.5 pound mark lost. I've gone from 317 to 219 pounds. I'm going to be 100 pounds down probably by the end of the week. And it's all thanks to the best weight loss program I've ever been on. Awaken 180 weight loss. If you need to lose weight like I did, whether it's 100 pounds or whether it's 20 or 30 pounds, anywhere in between, go to awaken180weightloss.com, awaken180weightloss.com. Take it from a guy who has lost almost 100 pounds on this program. They can change your life. They can save your life. Awaken 180 weight loss.
Good morning, Doctor.
Doctor?
Hi, Doctor.
Doctor?
Dr. Jackson's practice is growing.
What do you mean we're still short-staffed?
He needs a good patient doctor.
How do we not have enough doctors to doctor all these patients?
And he doesn't have the patience to sift through hundreds of resumes.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
It's time to take it back to the 90s, Jags fans. Be at the bank Sunday, October 6th, as we debut our Prowler throwback jerseys against the Colts and induct legendary head coach Tom Coughlin into the pride of the Jaguars at halftime. Kickoff is set for 1 p.m. You're not going to want to miss this matchup. Lock in your seats now by going to jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
2 Monday night football games going on. Tennessee is about to get their first win of the year They lead Miami 24-12, 2.5 minutes to go. Will Levis left that game with a shoulder injury. It's been Mason Rudolph. Tennessee's going to win a game throwing for 102 yards. Mason Rudolph, 9 of 17 for 85 yards. By the way, Calvin Ridley, former Jaguar great, has 1 carry for 10 yards and 1 catch for 5 yards. Good investment there by the Titans, but they're about to win a game. So the Jaguars will be the only winless team in the NFL. By the way, for the Dolphins, Tyler Huntley, who just arrived in Miami on September 17th off of the Ravens practice squad, 12 of 20 for 81 yards. It's been a boring game, but Tennessee is going to win it to get to 1-3 on the year. The other game, a lot more exciting. Detroit 35-20 over Seattle. They're going to the beginning of the fourth quarter. Seattle does have the ball at the Detroit 21-yard line. Lions up 35-20. Monday night coaching with Campo. Dave Campo, former head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, joins me in less than 15 minutes. Also, Gene Fournette of the Florida Times-Union and Jacksonville.com joins me towards the top of the 11 o'clock hour. Back to the phone lines we go at 641-1010. Let's get Mike in here on a late-night edition of Hacker After Dark. Mike, what do you got?
How's it going, Hacker?
Mike, we're good, man. How are you?
Yeah, man. I've listened to you for a long time, back since the early 2000s. Congratulations on your weight loss. I'm happy to hear that, and I just can't believe I'm on the phone with you, honestly.
Oh, thank you, buddy. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I still can't believe I'm talking to you. But what I want to say is, I remember back when Blaine Gabbert was our quarterback, it didn't take him long to get scared out of the pocket. Now, with that being said, I noticed that Trevor Lawrence, his first drive, if you noticed our first drive of the game, he made an intention to sit in that pocket and try to complete some passes and was sacked. And, it was a hard sack. It wasn't a soft sack. And I think that his confidence is rattled. I think that he doesn't feel confident in his line. And I just believe that as long as he has jumpy feet, we might be back in the same position we were back in when what was that, 2010, 9, 11. I can't quite remember. I was in this area at that time, but I have been a Jaguars fan for a long time. I just wanted to say that. I just noticed that he did stand in that pocket the first drive. And I noticed that he got sacked. I think it was on third down, and it was a hard sack, and I think his confidence is rattled. Until he can stand in that pocket with some confidence, he's never going to be able to narrow down his receivers and who's open and take a look at what's happening there in that first 3 seconds or so.
Mike, thank you for the phone call, and again, thank you for the kind words. That's an interesting point. Doug Peterson earlier today met with the media, and he brought up something that I thought was pretty interesting. He compared Trevor's overthrows to the game of golf when the adrenaline is flowing, right? You got to calm yourself down. Sometimes you're so excited that maybe you need to go a club down, right? Instead of using a 7-iron, maybe you need to use an 8-iron just because the adrenaline's flowing, the adrenaline's pumping. And it was an interesting analogy because if you think about it, Trevor doesn't underthrow a lot of people on these deep balls. There's not a lot of underthrows. He's missing them by throwing them too far in front of them. But how do you get a guy in the middle of battle, right, the middle of an NFL heated game to maybe take a little bit off? Calm the adrenaline, if you will. That's where they're at with Trevor. Christian Kirk was wide open yesterday. Brian Thomas Jr., the same thing. You can't miss those throws. You just can't. In the NFL, you get a handful of those a game, maybe. And you got to take advantage of them, man. And he missed both of them. Jaguars probably win the game if he hits one of those. And you can go back to last year, the overthrows in the end zone. It's becoming a trend now. It's no longer a fluke. Can you just calm the adrenaline? And is the adrenaline from trying to prove to people that he's worth $275 million? I mean, that's been the common thought, right? He's pressing because of the contract. Trying to do too much. Whatever it is, This is not the Trevor we saw for that 18-game stretch where he went 14-4 at the end of 22 and the beginning of 23. Good quarterbacks do not lose 9 starts in a row in the NFL. Hell, average quarterbacks do not lose 9 starts in a row in the NFL. It's concerning. You should be concerned. Is Trevor the guy? And as much as the venom wants to go on Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson, and I agree, look, the bottom line, there is blame to go all over the place. Can you blame General Manager Trent Baalke for this 0-4 start? You bet you can. Absolutely. They don't have a pass rush at all when we all knew they had nothing behind Hines Allen and Walker. And now Hines Allen's in protocol. Who knows his status moving forward? C.J. Stroud had a lifetime to throw the ball yesterday, a majority of those plays. That's on Trent Baalke. Bottom line, that's on roster build or lack thereof. Can you blame Doug Peterson and Press Taylor for the 0-4 start? Absolutely. You betcha. Play calling, lack of creativity, nonsense in short yardage, nonsense at the goal line. They've been the worst short yardage team in the NFL for 3 years. It's never gotten any better in 3 years. You can absolutely blame Peterson and Taylor. Christian Kirk had a ball hit him in the face mask last week that cost him a touchdown. Gabe Davis yesterday had a ball hit him in the face mask that cost him a touchdown. There is a ton of blame to go around. Injuries, everything. But Trevor Lawrence deserves a lot of blame too because he's not playing very well. And whether it's fair or not, you sign a contract like he did, that's a big deal. That is a thing where you get that type of money, you need to perform. And Trevor Lawrence has not performed in 3 of the 4 games this year. Really in all 4. They had a chance to win 3 of them because of the defense. I guess Trevor hasn't performed really in all of them. Yesterday was his best game, and he threw for 170 yards. That's where this offense is. They scored 2 offensive touchdowns because they got the ball one time on the 2-yard line because of the Texans' fumble. They legitimately drove for 1 offensive touchdown again. Just like in Cleveland, just like in Buffalo. And now, as a result, they're the only winless team in the National Football League. And clearly, to me, the biggest disappointment in the National Football League. And there is blame all over the place. But that includes your franchise quarterback. Let's talk to a former head coach in the National Football League, my buddy Dave Campo. A little Monday night coaching with Campo. That's next. Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
The game where every yard counts. One player's performance stands out.
That's what you want from a leader.
Universal Roofing Contracting presents the Offensive Player of the Game.
Touchdown, what a throw.
On 1010XL.
Here's Linda Beaver.
Hey everyone, it's football season and we wanted to go to the drawing board to make this year's predictions. Let's compare our 2 blonde all-stars. Most touchdowns, best pricing in the market. Most passing yards, gives the most for your trade. Most receptions, free oil changes with every purchase. Super Bowl champion, wow customer service. This looks like a winning season for everyone. Come see Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine or Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville where you can score big all season long.
Hey folks, this is Dave Benyon with my son Ammon here from Zero Res. Ammon, you've been cleaning air ducts for a while now. What are some of the reasons customers might consider getting their air ducts cleaned?
There are many reasons. Many times, people suffer needlessly from poor indoor air quality produced by the conditions in their air system. Construction dust, the presence of bacterial growth, and years' worth of buildup all come together to make your air ducts a pretty gross place. If you suffer from allergies, have recently moved, recently remodeled, or have never had your air ducts cleaned, then now is the best time to call. By calling Zero Res, you'll you'll have the peace of mind of knowing that you called the best of the best. Our state-of-the-art truck mount system and top-of-the-line service representatives simply can't be found anywhere else. Google Zerorez and read thousands of 5-star reviews.
So what kind of deals can I expect?
Just mention that you heard us on the radio, and we'll give you $100 off your air duct cleaning.
Wow, that sounds like a pretty great deal. Remember, folks, Zerorez,
spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
Zerorez. Zerorez.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. This is Hacker After Dark on 1010XL. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. The reality is 0-4. The Jacksonville Jaguars lose again to Houston yesterday, 24-20. They are now 0-4 on the year, with Indianapolis coming in on Sunday afternoon. With that, let's try to pick up the pieces. It seems to be a weekly occurrence with the Jaguars, and we're going to do that with my buddy Dave Campo, the former head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. You hear him every week here on Hacker After Dark. You also get him on the fifth quarter as well, and he's always kind enough to join us here for a little Monday night coaching with Campo. Coach, how we doing?
Well, I'm doing okay. Obviously, you when you rewatch the tape, you see a lot of things, and that's what I've been doing this morning. And you say it all the time. That it's kind of raw on the fifth quarter. Because you don't really have a chance to kind of look at things, and things come out sometimes that are not absolutely true, but the emotion is there. Whereas today, watching it, you kind of get a little bit better feel for it.
I love doing the fifth quarter, and I love doing these Monday night coaching sessions with you, because you're right. We have the genuine raw emotion of Sunday evening right after the game. And then you decompress and you go back and you watch the tape and you watch the all 22 and the coach's film, as you call it. And now you kind of put a thought together as to what actually transpired. Everybody in the city today, Coach, is talking about Doug Peterson and Press Taylor, and they're talking about Trevor Lawrence. So let's begin with the head coach and the offensive coordinator. Did you have an issue with the game plan, the game calling, anything that transpired yesterday when it comes to the head coach?
Well, obviously, I'm looking at Doug as what's going on offense. And if you look at what he did in the game, and I'm not talking about specific situations, which I'm sure you're going to ask me about, but I'm talking about game plan wise with he and Press or whoever's calling the plays or whatever. They did, in my opinion, tried to do yesterday what they have to do to try to take the pressure off of Trevor a little bit. They went into the game running the football. They had success running the football, and they had opportunities for big plays off of play action pass. That, combined with how they protected up front, I thought the game plan part of it was good enough for them to have a chance to win the football game. Now, obviously, it didn't happen, but I think that the play calling is overblown because they're talking to each other prior to every call. It looks like to me, or at least during the breaks. When the defense is on the field, I think they think alike. Now, should he take over the play calling? In my opinion, yes, because it's become a situation where it's hurting the football team. And it's become an issue. Take the thing over. You're the head coach. You think the same as Press. Let him talk to you between series. You make the play calls.
The head coach, Dave Campo, with us here on Hacker After Dark. Coach, the goal line yesterday, end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter, after the Bigsby run. They ran tank up the middle on first and goal, got nothing. Ran tank up the middle on second and goal, got nothing. Third and goal, the pass to Gabe Davis, hit him in the face mask. He probably needs to catch that, but there was decent coverage out there. and then to make the decision to go for it on 4th and goal instead of kicking the field goal to go up 6, knowing how awful you are in short yardage, I'm just at the point now, Coach, where Doug Peterson will just never take the points. He's just never going to do it in that situation. And that is my biggest criticism of him yesterday, is why you didn't kick that field goal and why you continuously have to go for it inside the 5-yard line on 4th and goal.
Well, obviously, if they make it, it's a great call. If they don't make it, it's automatic criticism, and that's kind of what you're paying the head coach for. I think a lot of things go into decision making. All of a sudden, analytics are big. And me, it has to be kind of a gut. Looking back over time, it's got to be kind of a gut call. In that situation, I thought, just talking about that entire series, that entire goal line series, the first one, they had success with that in the past of you make a big play, run up while there's a little bit of indecision on defense, line up and punch it in. And first of all, the problem with that is that the guy that got the ball had just run 58 yards. So he wasn't necessarily in the best physical situation in that then. And then the second run, in my opinion, was the bad one, because now he's halfway spent. You've had trouble running it up the middle. Now your call there where you said they've had trouble running it in there, that probably should have been a different call. The 4th down call now is a lot based on what kind of confidence you have in your football team, both on offense and defense. Because if you think you can score on it, great. You have confidence in your guys, and I think that goes a little ways. But if you don't think the defense can stop them, then you have to go for it. So I think it's a combination of those two things. If you put it in, you're in great shape. And again, it's up for criticism. I don't have a big, I can't just automatically say I've had it with those kind of calls.
Coach, opening day in Miami, the Jaguar offense got the ball back with 4 minutes to go in a tie game in the 4th quarter. Was horrific. Went 3 and out. They punted the ball. Miami got it. Jaguars never got it back. Yesterday, 3 weeks after that, the Jaguars get the ball with 3:51 to go, up 3 rather, up a field goal with 3:51 to go. 3 and out, again, punt it, and basically never get it back. The same thing happened in 2 different instances, 3 weeks apart on 2 road games to lose both games. The offense was awful in those 4-minute drives. That is on the players, on the coaches. How would you assess that?
Well, I think it's a little bit of a combination, to be honest with you, because there's no way that I personally now, again, I'm not Doug Peterson. There's no way that I would have thrown the ball twice in that situation. I would have left it for the defense, because in the second half, the defense was playing extremely well. The problem is, I want time off the clock in that situation, because, that is critical. And again, it's confidence, whether or not you have the confidence in the defense. The second call, the guy was open. Gabe Davis was open. They made a great play on it, but unfortunately, you throw the ball twice. It's there's no time, 46 seconds off the clock, and that was probably instrumental at the end. So I don't know that this football team is built. In fact, I'm pretty sure it isn't for a 4-minute drill. Unless they, feel like they can go double tight, 3 tight ends, a tackle at tight end, whatever. They're not built to run the ball. It's just not in their mentality nor in their ability. So it's a tough situation. Unfortunately, it happened twice.
Couple more for the head coach, Dave Campo. Monday night coaching with Campo here on Hacker After Dark. Coach, Trevor Lawrence yesterday you got to complete those wide open throws down the field, right? $55 million a year. You're the franchise guy. Christian Kirk's wide open. In the NFL, that's wide open. He had 2 yards separation. Trevor overthrows him earlier in the game. Brian Thomas Jr., there's certainly a window there for that touchdown. Trevor misses that one. There was the 3rd and 1 where the Jaguars ended up kicking the 52-yarder. He throws a bad ball that ETN can't get. That would have been a first down. I mean, good heavens. Do we have a Trevor Lawrence problem here in Jacksonville?
Well, I think after looking at it, the criticism of Trevor is becoming a little bit more concerning because he left a lot out there. There's no question about it. And to be honest with you, it really wasn't. It has been about pressure. And the ones that he left out there, the ones that you mentioned, the only one that really had any pressure on it was that 3rd down and 1 where, they didn't block the guy coming off the edge, and he really didn't have as much time to make an easy throw there that he did in the ones that he overthrew. And also one on the sideline that he's got to hit, the corner route. So, he's leaving stuff out there. And, you can only go so far saying it's about the offensive line, because I thought they protected pretty well yesterday, somewhat because of the game plan of running the football and play action. And we had the opportunities down the field and we didn't hit them.
Doug Peterson in the post-game press conference yesterday was asked about essentially the play calling and things along those lines. And I'm paraphrasing here, but he said, look, you guys can basically criticize us all you want. It's a two-way street. Players got to make plays. For a coach that admittedly is on the hot seat to an extent, to say that in a public setting like a press conference after a loss that puts you at 0-4, that the players got to make plays, it's a two-way street, how will that be received in the locker room?
Well, I think it's a little bit concerning. I mean, I think Doug has been pretty good over time here because, obviously the way it went last year at the end of the year and what's going on now, I think he's been pretty good about, taking the criticism himself. And, I think he's kind of gotten tired of the things that we've just been talking about. Making a big deal about the play calling and then leaving stuff out on the football field with the players. I think you got to be really careful with that. I think the majority of that stuff has to be done in the meeting rooms. And I think he's got to be careful about being too frustrated. But I think he's frustrated right now. And, when you start asking the head coach about his job security, I think that has a tendency to get you a little frustrated. And I've been there. I don't think I ever got a question like that this early in the season. But when you ask the guy what his job status is, I think that probably riles you up a little bit.
Final moments with the head coach, Dave Campo. And by the way, I don't disagree with Doug Peterson about the players needing to make plays. I fault Doug for a lot. And I don't know if Doug can bring this team back to where it needs to go. I think maybe a coaching change is going to be needed at some point. Having said that, they had Christian Kirk wide open on that play down the field. Trevor missed him. They had Brian Thomas Jr. wide open down the field, and Trevor missed him. That's not play calling. That's your quarterback not making the throws that you need him to make in a big-time situation. Indianapolis comes in on Sunday. We'll get to that in a moment, but I did want to ask you, Tom Coughlin going into the Pride of the Jaguars on Sunday. I know you know Tom Coughlin. You competed against Tom Coughlin. Just your thoughts on TC entering the Pride on Sunday afternoon.
Well, it's well warranted. There's no question about it. I've watched Tom Coughlin since I got into the league. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him as a football coach, but I also have a tremendous amount of respect for him for what he's done for this community with the J Fund and what he's done for young people that are struggling with cancer. And then you add the fact that the guy is a 2-time Super Bowl winner, and he's the guy that got the Jaguars with a team that was capable of possibly winning the Super Bowl. He deserves it. I'm happy for him. I think he's a Hall of Fame candidate and for sure a pride candidate.
All right, Coach. Indianapolis comes in on Sunday. We don't know the status of the quarterback, although it sounds like Anthony Richardson probably isn't as bad off as maybe we thought yesterday. There's probably a pretty decent chance he's going to play. I'm actually not sure if that's a bad thing or not. If I'm the Jaguars right now, not knowing Joshua Hines-Allen's status, I'd rather take my chances maybe with Richardson than Joe Flacco, which might be an indictment on where the Colts are at the quarterback position. But having said that, the Jaguars are 0-4. That's reality. I mean, what's your thought on Indianapolis coming in here on Sunday?
Well, I think Indianapolis is not as good as, is not as bad as their record shows. I will say that for sure. But at the same time, on the quarterback situation, we have had trouble from day one putting pressure on the quarterback. It's a kind of a two-way street with those two guys. I don't think Richardson is anywhere near as efficient throwing the football, but he gives you the effect that Stroud did in this ball game of being able to escape the pocket and make some things happen. He's got a strong arm. He can go down the field, and obviously he can run. And so that concerns you a little bit if you're not getting good pressure on the quarterback, or because his ability to get escape. The Flacco concerns you because he's pretty darn efficient throwing the ball. He's not a scrambler, but if we don't cover him very well, he presents a problem, and he lit us up a little bit last year. So I think this is going to be a tough ball game. Unfortunately, I don't think I felt at the beginning that we could beat anybody. Right now, I'm like Doug Peterson. I've lacked a little confidence here all of a sudden. I'm not sure who this football team is as a team, and that doesn't bode well when you play the next football game.
No, keep in mind, Indianapolis has not won a game here in Jacksonville since, I believe, 2014. It's a crazy streak. They've found amazing ways to lose games down here. Will that continue, or will Indianapolis get the win? But as you said, Coach, as we say goodbye, it's 1 week at a time, right? I mean, we're not going to even worry about anything else other than Indy. At this point at 0-4, there's no looking ahead. It's literally 7 days at a time. And all the Jaguars can do right now, they can't erase what's happened. They just got to figure out a way to beat Indianapolis.
Yeah, there's no question about that. And I can tell you that's the way a coach looks at things. He doesn't look at the fact that 1 in 100, I don't know how many years, made the playoffs after 0-4. That doesn't mean anything right now. The only thing that means anything, statistics are for losers. The only thing that means anything is how we prepare and how well we play against Indianapolis.
You get the head coach Dave Campo all over the 1010XL airwaves, including right here on Hacker After Dark. Coach, always appreciate it. I'll see you Sunday for the fifth quarter.
Absolutely. Have a great week, Hack, and hopefully we can get a win here. It's much more fun in that fifth quarter with a win.
There's no doubt about it. You, I, Leon Searcy, we all need one very, very badly. Thank you, Coach.
You got it, Hack. Have a great day.
1010XL. 1010XL. WJXL AM and FM, Jacksonville Beach. This is 1010XL. Even the best teams can lose steam when their best players end up on the sidelines.
In case you haven't noticed, our receiver corps is decimated.
Listen for the personal injury attorneys Farah and Farah Injury Update.
Jacksonville. It's part of the game, though, you know?
On 1010XL. Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
September is Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. So here's a reminder to get screened. Ackerman Cancer Center offers on-site imaging, including total body MRI. Early detection is the key. Visit AckermanCancerCenter.com.
Hey, David again with Royal Pest Services. TAP Insulation stands for thermal, acoustic, and pest control. Keep your home cool, noise out, and pests dead. Visit RoyalPestServices.com to schedule a free inspection.
For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Good morning, Doctor.
Doctor?
Hi, Doctor.
Doctor? Dr. Jackson's practice is growing.
What do you mean we're still short-staffed?
He needs a good patient doctor.
How do we not have enough doctors to doctor all these patients?
And he doesn't have the patience to sift through hundreds of resumes.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes. I've been playing Prize Picks lately, and I have no idea why I waited so long. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with more than 5 million active members. And beyond that, it's a blast to play. It's easy, it's exciting, and makes those college and NFL games so much more exciting to watch. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stats and watch your winnings roll in. This week, I've got Vikings quarterback Sam Arnold throwing for less than 229.5 yards, and Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson rushing for less than 39.5 yards. It's just that easy. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money as quickly as 15 minutes. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code JAX, J-A-X, and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code JAX on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. It's all there, Prize Picks. Run your game.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker. After Dark on 1010XL. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. The Jaguars and the Colts, Sunday at 1 o'clock. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL Radio. The Jaguars still looking for that first win of the year. They sit 0-4 on the season. With that, we welcome in my buddy Gene Fournette of the Florida Times Union. Always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Gene, how we doing, man?
Well, I'm doing better than the Jaguars are. I'm not having to figure out too much right now about some gigantic mess that's going on around me. Although none of us can say our lives are perfect, but I think the Jaguars probably got a little bit more on their plate right now.
Gene, you're down there every day. I saw you at training camp every single day. I'd like to think that I had somewhat of a grasp of knowledge on this team. I thought they'd be the 8, 9, 10 win variety. I wasn't anything sensational. I didn't think it was going to be 14-3 in a Super Bowl, but I thought 8, 9, or 10 wins was realistic. I am borderline stunned by these first 4 games. What's been your reaction?
Yeah, I mean, I picked them to go 10-7. That was my feel before the season started. But I also felt like September was going to be the hardest month for them in terms of the way the schedule fell. You got three road games. All 4 games were against playoff teams last year. So coming out of the gate, I thought if they could just be 2-2 after September, they'd be okay. And they're not that far away from being there, right? I mean, the Travis Etienne fumble in Miami, just one more play against either Cleveland or Houston, and they'd be 2-2. But they're not. So as they say, you are what your record says you are. They're 0-4, and now they've built themselves this massive wall to try to climb over. Even if they had just won yesterday and they were 1-3. they'd still be, sort of okay. They'd only be one game behind in the AFC South, which is looking like a very meh division right now. So, it just goes to show what we say all the time about the NFL. Most games are one or two plays here or there. And for whatever reason, since last December, in every game that's reasonably tight, the Jaguars can never make one more play than the other team.
Gene Fournette, Florida Times Union, Jacksonville.com, with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Gene, you've sat in thousands of press conferences. Now, Doug Peterson's on Monday was a little better, a little less salty, if you will. But obviously, after the Houston game, he was pretty salty towards some of our colleagues in the media, particularly the comment about the play calling, defending Press Taylor again, and basically saying it's a two-way street, right? Players got to make plays. I actually agree with what he said. I'm just kind of surprised that he said it publicly. What was your reaction to that?
Well, number one, that was a very rare Doug Peterson not handling a press conference well. He's usually pretty good. He's usually, pretty affable and answers questions in a very reasonable manner and tone. Yesterday was way different. He opened up right away by saying, I'm not going to talk about the most important play in the game. Well, if you're a head coach in the NFL, part of your job description is being able to deal with the media. And that was not an out of bounds question. That's a question that even your PR guy, as he's walking with his coach to the press conference, is telling his coach, hey, they're probably going to ask you about the play on 4th and goal, blah, blah, blah. And, and you just roll with it, right? It's not fun to do, but you roll with it. But for him to open the press conference right away saying it's a moot point, I'm not going to talk about it. I thought that was a very pouty answer by Doug. And as the press conference moves along, there were kind of other examples where he was kind of either being short, a little bit snippy. I didn't mind the play calling thing. The Jaguars did not lose that game Sunday because of play calling, and they certainly didn't lose it because of their offensive line, which had its best game of the season. 80% of that loss is on Trevor Lawrence. It just is, right? You've got two wide open receivers down the field. You got to make one of those two throws, right? You got to complete one of those two passes. And if you do, the Jaguars are prime. I can't say with 100% certainty, but they probably would have won the game had Trevor made one of those two throws when he had a clean pocket. His feet were set. There were no excuses for him to overthrow the ball as much as he did in both those instances. So I put most of yesterday's loss on Trevor Lawrence, not on the coaching staff, not on play calling, not on the offensive line. That one was mostly on Trevor, not all of it, but mostly.
Gene, in your opinion, what's wrong with Trevor Lawrence right now?
I think he might be pressing a little bit. Now, he may not want to publicly admit that. But listen, when the losses start piling up, and everyone knows, you go into the season with 5 straight losses, then it's 6, then it's 7, then it's 8, now it's 9. It's hard for me not to believe that doesn't get in your head a little bit, just a little bit. Because, you look at the last 2 weeks, the overthrow in Buffalo, right? Where he had Brian Thomas Jr. all open and a very simple pass to make. And he sailed it probably, 2 yards over his head, maybe. And then the overthrows yesterday. He's just not on, right? He's completing 53% of his passes this year. 53%, all right? And the same thing happened yesterday, 18 out of 33. He averaged, about 5 yards. About 5 yards per attempt yesterday. C.J. Stroud averaged 8.6. You're not going to win games averaging 5 yards an attempt. Although, amazingly enough, Bo Nix won a game yesterday averaging 2.5 yards per attempt. But if you're going to be a winning quarterback, you've probably got to average about 7.5 yards and above. That's usually about the barometer. Trevor's nowhere near that. He's at 6 yards per attempt for the season. You're just not going to win games doing that. Now, in some instances, is that the offensive line and maybe not protecting him as well? In some instances, yes, that is true. That was not the case yesterday.
Couple of more for Gene Fournette, Florida Times Union and Jacksonville.com. Gene, there were some positives, right? I want to start defensively. We were worried about Oluwakin and Devin Lloyd both being out, what was going to happen at linebacker, and then Ventrell Miller was nothing short of sensational, which begs the question, and I was talking about it with Coach Campo last night on the postgame, when Devin Lloyd comes back in particular, I think Oluwakin will get his spot back. When Devin Lloyd comes back, how do you take 51 off the field?
Well, let's keep in mind this is a small sample size, right? This is one game. Okay, let's see how he does over 3 games. You know, if he gets that many games in, you don't want to overreact too much to a bad game or to a good game. The bottom line is Ventrell Miller's in his second year, didn't get to play his first year, and did very well yesterday in his role as a starter for the first time. Well, he's probably going to get another one this week. Okay, so let's see how he keeps going. I don't want to overreact to one game. It's an encouraging sign, certainly, though, right? I mean, this is why you draft guys in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round. They may not show up right away. They may not, act like they deserve any kind of a lot of playing time. And of course, in his case, he was injured last year. So it's a good sign for the future for the Jaguars that Ventrell Miller got off to a good start. Let's see if he can keep it up. You look at Tank Bigsby, not a very good year last year at all, right? Well, here he is in his second year, and he's playing lights out. I mean, I think he's averaging something like 8 yards a carry. And even if you take away the 58-yarder yesterday, he would still be averaging 6 yards per carry this year. So that's a very encouraging sign. The one thing the Jaguars are doing well offensively is running the ball. Are they lights out? No, but they're pretty good. And so I would hope that moving forward, that the running game gets more chances to have an impact on the game, which of course would lessen the load also for Trevor.
0-4 is awful. Obviously, I'm not breaking any news there, but again, silver linings. If you're looking for any, boy, Gene, it looks like they found one with Brian Thomas Jr.
Oh, that guy is. Potentially, now that I've seen him for 4 games, right? 4-game sample size as opposed to 1. He's somebody that's going to keep defensive coordinators, awake at night a little bit longer, right? I mean, he's just that kind of guy. I think right now he's on pace for 1,168 yards, right? That's 300 yards more than the rookie record that Justin Blackmon set at 865 back in 2012. So, so far, Brian Thomas is looking as much as the truth as several other first-round LSU receivers that, like Justin Jefferson and OJ and Beckham that we've seen before. Jamar Chase is another one. So you kind of hope that that Brian Thomas Jr.'s impact is going to be along the lines of some other really, really good LSU receivers that have come along.
Final moments, Gene Fournette of the Florida Times Union. All right, Gene, as we begin to wrap up, Tom Coughlin takes his spot in the pride of the Jaguars on Sunday. You're certainly one of the guys in the area to ask about TC. You covered him back when he was the coach here. Just your thoughts on TC taking his spot up on that wall on Sunday.
Well, I haven't been able to narrow down this stat yet, but I think I'm in the process of doing it. There aren't that many coaches in NFL history, or even maybe a few more players, that are going to be in 2 rings of honor for 2 different franchises. That doesn't happen quite often. I mean, I don't even know off the top of my head who that might belong to. Maybe Tony Dungy with the Bucks and the Colts. Maybe Don Shula with the Dolphins and the Colts. Player like Reggie White with the Eagles and Packers. You know what I'm talking about. You have to spend enough time with 2 different franchises to be able to, achieve something like that. So I think from that standpoint, it's a very unique achievement for Tom. And I also think it's another feather in his cap that hopefully one day we'll get him into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But the Hall of Fame keeps changing the criteria for coaches. Sometimes they put them in with the contributors. Sometimes they've separated the categories. I just hope that Tom Coughlin can get a bust in Canton while he's still living and not wait until until he's gone, like what has happened in the cases of some others.
Yeah, Tom Coughlin, terrific job here. Obviously, 2 Super Bowls in New York. Sunday will be a great day. And then that brings me to the football game, Gene. Final question. Indianapolis has not won a game in Duval County in a decade. You got to go back to 2014 for their last win here in Jacksonville. At the time you and I are speaking, we don't necessarily know yet if it's going to be Richardson or Flacco. It sounds like in Indy, Richardson could have come back in that game against Pittsburgh. They chose not to put him out there. So you would think it would be Richardson. But either way, this is a game Jacksonville can win. Although you probably said the same thing about Cleveland at the last home game, and that didn't work out. What is your expectation for Sunday when the Colts roll in here?
Well, I would expect the Jaguars to win the game. I think at some point, the law of averages in the NFL kind of tend to balance out a little bit. The Jaguars have already lost 3 very tight ball games. And as you said, you mentioned their history of success with the Colts here in Jacksonville. And a lot of that success hasn't been in close games. In many instances, they've handled the Colts pretty well here. I don't know if they'll handle them pretty well, but I do expect them to win the game. And if they don't, I mean, it's really the misery will be unbelievable, because then you'd be losing 2 division games in a row. You'd be 0-5. And, at least at 0-4, as remote a possibility as it is to get this train back on the track, 0-5 would just, with 2 division losses, would just be awful. Their next 3 games are on paper the most winnable games they have on the rest of their schedule, with the possible exception of the Titans at home later on in the year. So they've got to make hay in these next 3 weeks.
I mentioned it earlier. I mean, 0-4 now is terrible, but you could very easily close your eyes and see them at 3-4, and then we're having a much different conversation. But one game at a time, and it begins on Sunday with Indianapolis. Gene Fournette of the Florida Times-Union and Jacksonville.com. Gene, I know you're busy. Thank you, as always, for the time. We'll direct people to the Times-Union for your great Jaguar coverage, and we'll talk soon, my friend.
Okay, Hacker. Thanks for having me.
Sometimes winning and losing comes down to one play. There's only one performance-painting, high-performance play of the game on 1010XL.
Hey, sports fans, it's Hayes Carlyon from MyBookie. By the looks of it, there were some huge hits betting on MyBookie this weekend. If you didn't make the right plays, you have Monday Night Football tonight to get right. The Titans travel to Miami to play the Dolphins. This is basically a pick'em game, so who do you think is going to win? You know, here at 1010XL, we don't bet on the Titans. We're taking the Dolphins all day, hoping their defense can cause major problems for a turnover-happy Will Levis. And if you think that hits, why not do a parlay and bet the over-under total 36.5? $100 bet pays $260. MyBookie is still running the double deposit bonus. You need to get started now. Use my promo code 1010XL to claim a bonus that doubles your money on your very first deposit up to $1,000. You heard that right. Double your money with 1010XL before you even place a bet. Sign up, use promo code 1010XL to claim your double deposit bonus. Bet anything, anywhere, anytime with MyBookie.
Hacker here, and the celebration is getting closer than I expected. On my countdown to 100 pounds. I thought it would take me a lot longer, but I'm already at 98 pounds gone. 4.5 pounds down last week alone. Next week should be epic as I do what I never thought could be done just 6 months ago. Me losing 100 pounds. What's your Awaken 180 goal? Is it hitting a number? Is it losing weight without a life of medications? Or is it just feeling better? Whatever your goal is, bring it to Awaken 180 and ask them how fast you will reach it. But Hacker, I've tried other programs and diets before. Why will Awaken 180 work? It's simple, because if I can do it, anyone can do it. Remember, when I hit that 100-pound mark, we're going to celebrate. I'll keep you updated again next week, but I have a hunch I'll be crossing that 100-pound threshold. In the meantime, pick up the phone and make your own 180. Call 844-346-1800 or online at awaken180weightloss.com.
This is your Mad Dad's Update with Chapter President Donald Ford. In our effort to curb crime, drugs, and violence during the summer months, we are offering Friday Night Lights. It has already started and will be going until school starts back. It is every Friday night from 6:30 to 9:30 at the Blacktop. 5732 Normandy Boulevard, and behind the Potter's House Christian Academy. We manage 3 basketball courts. You are not running on the cement. We have covering on each court. The Lakers, the Magic, and the Heat. Ages 15 to 40 years old. This will give them something to do other than selling drugs and getting into trouble. We have monitors there giving leadership. We have to wake up, stand up, and speak up. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think. Or matt-jacksonville.com.
Hidden Hills Golf Club invites you to come out and experience one of the most beautiful and unique golf courses in North Florida. Affordable golf, friendly service, and great times in the Hills Grill after play. Book your tee time, hiddenhillsgc.com.
Get closer to nature.
Trying to get close to these bucks out here.
Jeff Lageman, Captain Kevin Faber, and Captain Kirk Waltz. The Nimnicht Outdoor Show. Presented by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. Saturday morning 7 to 10 on 1010XL.
3D Digital has you covered for any of your business's digital marketing needs. From producing award-winning videos to getting those digital ads to follow your customers around the internet, our team has your back. Visit 3ddigital.com or give us a call at 904-712-4004 to schedule a free consultation today. 904-712-4004.
Brackish Vodka, the official vodka of UNF Athletics, 100% made in Jacksonville, is available at all local liquor stores. Visit Browdy's, Total Wine, ABC, Shores, Golden, Sahara's, Golden Ox, and more. Drink our gluten-free San Francisco Spirit award-winning vodka and see why it's the smoothest vodka you can buy. When you drink Brackish Vodka, you support all of our local employees and all the money stays in Jacksonville. Drink Brackish Vodka and live life slightly salty. Proud partner of the Jaguars.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. He's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line. Hello. We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The Jaguars and the Colts, Sunday, 1 o'clock. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL. The Jaguars are 0-4. It is what it is, as they are still looking for their first win of 2024. Justin Barney of Channel 4, always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Justin, how we doing, man?
Not too bad, Heck. Trying to digest what we've seen this football season. Disappointing, to say the least.
Justin, you were out there at training camp every day like I was, like a lot of our media colleagues were. Man, I'm borderline shocked. I'll classify it as very surprised at 0-4. What's your reaction?
Kind of probably like you and a lot of other media folk who have covered this team semi-regularly. Just very disappointing to see that. I think the issues that were rampant and pervasive last year during that pitiful finish, we're seeing those same ones now. So what did they do about it? They had no answer for it last year, and we heard last year in the locker room from Josh Allen and saying, hey, whatever we didn't have. We needed to go back to fundamentals, to basics, and we didn't do enough of that. That was the answer last year. And then, there were certain guys in the locker room who didn't buy in all the way. So what is the answer this year? It's different staff on the defensive side of the ball, a lot of new faces in the locker room, and we're still seeing those same issues that are happening. It's unacceptable if you're Shad Khan, if you're in ownership of this franchise, and you're still seeing these same issues that you supposedly left last season popping up now in 2024.
It appears the fan base in the days that we've had since Sunday, just a few days, that it's either Doug Peterson and Press Taylor or Trevor Lawrence. That appears to be where all the venom is going. Let's begin with Doug Peterson and Press Taylor. Criticism of them from the fan base, is it warranted?
I think so. Absolutely. I think so. I mean, these are the same issues that we saw last year, the same play calling issues. And I think fans expected more. I mean, when you give your quarterback a $275 million contract, when you've supposedly torn the offense back down to its studs, as I think Press and Doug both said before the season started, and if you tore it down to the studs, I don't know if you rebuilt it back up, because this offense is bad. It is terrible. And Doug Peterson is the quarterback whisperer, so supposedly. Press Taylor is an extension of Doug Peterson, Doug's right-hand man, and to be so supreme on offense, to have this quarterback whisperer mindset, and your offense, you had your quarterback throw for 200 yards in exactly one game this year. Trevor's lost 9 straight starts. So to be supposedly this offensive-minded head coach and offensive coordinator, and your offense is lacking, for the most optimistic term, I think that reflects poorly on you. And I think that vitriol is well deserved for both Doug and Press.
Justin Barney of Channel 4. It's interesting. Doug Peterson in his post-game comments in Houston said it's a two-way street. Players have to play, basically. And albeit Doug deserves some criticism, I hated 4th and goal in the quarterback draw. I hated the offensive play calling with 4 minutes to go, up 3. At the end of the day, there were a couple of plays that were left to be had. Christian Kirk's running wide open, would have been a walk-in touchdown. Trevor missed him. Trevor missed Brian Thomas on one. There's no doubt, Justin, whether he's pressing, whether it's, the weight of the expectations after that contract, I don't know, whatever it is, but Trevor Lawrence is not playing very well right now.
Not at all. And he's not played well really since probably about the 10 or 11 game sample size from between the end of 2022 and then the start of 23. He has just not been the same. I don't know if it was an injury of some sort last year that kind of spooked him and took away his confidence, but something is obviously not right in 16. And look, I mean, he is married to Jacksonville, for better or for worse at this point. You gave him $275 million, and people don't want to hear it, but that contract has not even begun yet. I mean, this is Trevor's still in the 4th year of his rookie deal. He's got the 5th-year option next year, and then that contract, well, he's gotten some of the bonus money already. That contract does not start for another a year and a half at this point. So Jacksonville is married to Trevor Lawrence. So at this point, you've got to salvage him. I mean, I keep hearing the Russell Wilson Broncos term thrown around in terms of all the historic amount of dead money that went along with getting rid of Russell Wilson. Jacksonville is not going to be able to do that for a little bit of time. You're married to Trevor Lawrence, like it or not. I still don't think he's broken. I do think Trevor can be salvaged, but you got to figure out if Doug is not the guy who can salvage him. If you're Shad Khan, I think you've got to consider a coaching change, be it this year, be it next year. And I do think you've got to probably consider sending Trent Baalke with Doug Peterson, because, look, this roster is constructed by Trent Baalke. He's the general manager, and this is not a roster right now, be it the premature contract extensions or giving out big money deals to guys who just haven't performed. I mean, Trent Baalke has constructed this roster, so he shares a little bit of that blame too, if not more than Doug Peterson right now.
Couple more for Justin Barney of Channel 4. Justin, there's not a lot of silver linings. I don't want to sugarcoat anything at 0-4, but it is worth noting that, man, it looks like they found one in Brian Thomas Jr. The guy's getting better and better. And you would talk about wide receiver 1, right? That's been a common trait, a common thought in this city. Can we ever have a wide receiver 1? Boy, it looks like Brian Thomas Jr. has all the makings of that.
He's looked good, and Jaguars rookie receivers, I've been around here for a long time, and Jaguars rookie receivers have historically not fared well at all. I mean, you had Justin Blackmon, who was a freak, and I still think was an unbelievable talent. I wish he would have worked out in town, but you've not seen him, whether it been DJ Chark. He was not a good rookie as a 2nd-round pick, whether it's been Reggie Williams, not a good rookie. Matt Jones, not a good rookie receiver. So there have been a lot of rookie receivers washed out in Jacksonville. So I do think it's promising to see that start by BTJ, especially after early in camp. You had some questions if he was, if he was just a gamer, or if he just didn't have that fire. But, man, he has looked good every step of the way in this regular season, and I do not think it's outlandish to say he is their best offensive player right now. Gabe Davis has been invisible. Christian Kirk has been erratic. Parker Washington's really not got on the field. Evan Ingram has been banged up. So I do not think it's a stretch at all to say that BTJ is that best offensive player.
That brings me to the Shad Khan aspect of this. I mean, obviously the statement he made about the best Jaguar team ever, I think he was inferring to the best team since he took over the team in 2012 would be my hope of what he meant. But regardless, he said that, and he doubled down on it, said I wasn't misquoted. And you think about what he did in the offseason, Justin, $500 million or whatever it was to Lawrence and Hines Allen, Oluwakin and Campbell. Well, let's look at that investment. Lawrence is playing below average. Hines Allen has 1 sack in 4 games and is now in concussion protocol. Oluwakin's on IR. Tyson Campbell's on IR. You think about the free agents. Armstead, like you said, has not done very much. Darnell Savage is on IR, hasn't been on IR, but he's missed 3 games. Gabe Davis had 1 catch, I think, for 5 yards against Houston. Man, I just have to imagine how frustrating this is for Shad Khan to see the team that he spent so much money on this offseason be 0-4 and off to one of the worst starts in franchise history.
Yeah, and I think that was an outlandish comment by Shad Khan to begin with. I mean, if you covered or even seen any of the 96 through 99 teams, I think those teams absolutely destroy this Jaguars team by 3 touchdowns. So that was completely short-sighted statement by Shad. Yeah, the most expensive team in Jaguars history, yes. But even with signing Trevor, I was not a fan of giving him the extension this offseason because he's just been too erratic. I mean, Jacksonville fans have been starved for a franchise quarterback ever since Mark Brunell left, and Trevor Lawrence was supposed to be the guy. Everything about Trevor was it, and he just has not delivered. He's been too inconsistent. I don't think that Trevor's unsalvageable. He's still young. You're married to him. You're going to let him try and work out of this funk, and I do think he can. But you kind of had the poison of paying Trevor now and making that premature decision to sign him early, or letting that price continue to rise. I mean, say if Trevor had gotten back on track and played well this year, then that's what Shad was going to have to write that check for explodes even further. So you were kind of up against it in terms of getting a deal done this offseason, or waiting and seeing that price soar 20% and even higher. So I think they were in between a rock and a hard place. They chose the path that they thought was right, and it just has not worked out. And, I do question some of these other deals. I would have liked to have seen Josh Hines Allen play another year, maybe even on that franchise tag to prove last year contract year wasn't just a fluke. But yeah, I think Shad Khan has an extreme anger at this point. I think he was sold a bill of goods from Trent and Doug, thinking, hey, this team is ready to take the next step, and they certainly have not done that. I would be absolutely livid if I was Shad Khan.
Wrapping things up with Justin Barney of Channel 4. Justin, on Sunday, Tom Coughlin goes into the pride of the Jaguars. Your thoughts about TC taking his spot up there on that wall?
Long overdue, and I'm glad to see Tom get it. I mean, for what he's done on the field. I mean, people forget that Tom wasn't just a coach in Jacksonville; he was a general manager too, and he built the franchise into an AFC Championship team in year 2 back in '96, and that's unbelievable. Made another AFC Championship game in '99 with I think is the best team in Jaguars history, and not even a second place team that's close to it. So he did wonders for this town, this city as well, built the expansion franchise into something people here could be proud of. And yes, well, he never reached a Super Bowl with the Jaguars. He did win 2 with the Giants. And I think his body of work will eventually get him into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And I love to see Tom, and he's still the same old Tom. I think you still see flashes of that old coach coming out. But I think time heals all wounds. He did not leave under the best situations in Jacksonville. But great to see Tom get his rightful place in the pride.
Justin, final question. The Colts haven't won here in a decade. We don't know yet Richardson or Flacco, although reports out of Indy say that Richardson potentially could have come back in the game against Pittsburgh, which would lead you to believe that it might be Richardson on Sunday. I almost think it's better off if it is Richardson because the Jaguars might be lacking a pass rush without Hines Allen if he's still in protocol for that concussion, and Flacco could pick him apart, in my opinion. But regardless, one game at a time, right? 0-4 is what it is. But do you think Jacksonville gets off the mat and beats Indianapolis on Sunday?
I mean, I don't know how you can have faith in them, but I do think they played well enough to win that Texans game. Texans tried to give it to them every way imaginable. If Trevor hits one more of those throws that were overthrows, I do think they win that game. So, the stats say it. Indy hasn't won here since 2014. Jacksonville was close last week. I do think players are getting a little bit sick and tired of having to answer these same questions week after week on why they can't win. I do think they can win on Sunday. And if they've got a manageable stretch coming up here with the 2 games in London after this. So I do think this 0-4 start could get to 3-4 in a hurry if they start putting some of these things together.
Justin Barney of Channel 4. Justin, I know you're busy, man. Thank you for the time. We'll talk again soon, my friend.
Take care, Hack. Thanks for having me.
Let's go. Game day gets here a little quicker with Pregame Friday.
Here we go.
Who's in, who's out, who's on upset watch.
Exactly.
We'll get you ready for the games. Brought to you by MyBookie and Dream Finders Homes on 1010XL.
Hey folks, this is Dave Benyon with my son Ammon here from Zero Res. Ammon, you've been cleaning air ducts for a while now. What are some of the reasons customers might consider getting their air ducts cleaned?
There are many reasons. Many times, people suffer needlessly from poor indoor air quality produced by the conditions in their air system. Construction dust, the presence of bacterial growth, and years' worth of buildup all come together to make your air ducts a pretty gross place. If you suffer from allergies, have recently moved, recently remodeled, or have never had your air ducts cleaned, then now is the best time to call. By calling Zero Res, you'll have the peace of mind of knowing that you called the best of the best. Our state-of-the-art truck mount system and top-of-the-line service representatives simply can't be found anywhere else. Google Zero Res and read thousands of 5-star reviews.
So what kind of deals can I expect?
Just mention that you heard us on the radio, and we'll give you $100 off your air duct cleaning.
Wow, that sounds like a pretty great deal. Remember, folks, Zero Res,
spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
CEROREC. Zero Res.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? So you've got an oil change coming up. You can go farther and save on full synthetic with our oil change special. Right now, you can get 5 quarts of Valvoline Advanced Full Synthetic with an STP Extended Life oil filter for just $35.99. Get the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Hey, sports fans, it's Hayes Carlyon from MyBookie. By the looks of it, there were some huge hits betting on MyBookie this weekend. If you didn't make the right plays, you have Monday Night Football tonight to get right. The Titans travel to Miami to play the Dolphins. This is basically a pick'em game, so who do you think is going to win? You know, here at 1010XL, we don't bet on the Titans. We're taking the Dolphins all day, hoping their defense can cause major problems for a turnover-happy Will Levis. And if you think that hits, why not do a parlay and bet the over-under total 36.5? $100 bet pays $260. MyBookie is still running the double deposit bonus. You need to get started now. Use my promo code 1010XL to claim a bonus that doubles your money on your very first deposit up to $1,000. You heard that right. Double your money with 1010XL before you even place a bet. Sign up, use promo code 1010XL to claim your double deposit bonus. Bet anything, anywhere, anytime with MyBookie.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? So you've got an oil change coming up. You can go farther and save on full synthetic with our oil change special. Right now, you can get 5 quarts of Valvoline Advanced Full Synthetic with an STP Extended Life oil filter for just $35.99. Get the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions
Stuck
apply.
on what to do with a plumbing issue? Just call the Duck. Duck Rooter are experts at plumbing and are a 5-star Google-rated company. You name it, they do it. Water heater replacements to sewer drain cleaning, leaks to repipes. Fully licensed and insured with highly trained technicians. Trust the Duck to fix it right. Duck Rooter Plumbing and Septic Services.
When you're stuck, call the Duck. 904-862-6769.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville, it's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. The Jaguars and the Colts, Sunday at 1 o'clock. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL as Jacksonville still trying to get their first victory of the year as they sit at 0-4 here in 2024. With that, Gary Smits of the Florida Times-Union, always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Gary, how we doing, my friend?
I'm doing better than this team is, I'll tell you that much.
There's no doubt about that, and that wouldn't be hard at this point. Gary, you were down at every training camp practice like I was. You're down there every day covering the team in the locker room. I mean, I'm borderline shocked by 0-4. Your reaction to the first month of the season?
Well, I think let's just take the reaction of somebody who might not necessarily be a fan, trying to look at this thing as objectively as possible. They're about 2 or 3 plays from being 2-2, and entirely possible that it may be a couple of more from being 3-1. And that's the reality of life in the NFL. I'll bet you if you looked at a 3-1 Buffalo right now, they had a couple of, they had a very close game beginning of the season against Arizona, which is not very good, and pulled it out at the end. You look at the Ravens, who started out 0-2. The Cowboys have had some issues. The 49ers got beat by the Rams. The week before the Jaguars lost to Houston, the Vikings just absolutely tore them apart, 34-7. So there's been a lot of ups and downs. The thing is that at least some of these teams have managed to pull out 1 or 2 games, and the Jaguars are sitting there 0-4. I'm wondering if we're going back to the latter part of 2020 and into the first 5 games of 2021, where the team flat out forgot how to lose or how to win. They flat out forgot how to win. They know how to lose. But in this sense, there are plays out there for the taking, okay, that can be executed if they would just reach out there and grab them, okay? And we're talking, not scoring from the one yesterday. We're talking Trevor overthrowing 2 players woefully. We're talking Gabe Davis, who for the second week in a row, Christian Kirk did last week, Gabe Davis and Christian Kirk letting balls in the end zone hit them in the face guard, okay, without getting their hands anywhere near it. And plays that are just right there. And none of this took anything extraordinary. It did not take a Tom Brady or a Jerry Rice, or an Emmitt Smith to execute what was out there that they could have done it. So now you just have to. So what has to happen? I guess they just have to keep putting themselves in position and giving themselves opportunities, and maybe through some fluke or some break that maybe some of the other teams seem to be getting, like Miami got with the ETN fumble, and maybe they push one in, and all of a sudden they remember how to execute these plays under pressure. But that's the frustrating thing I think about it for fans, with the exception of the Buffalo game. The other 3 games could have easily been victories.
Gary Smits, Florida Times-Union and Jacksonville.com. Smitter, the fan base is coming after Doug Peterson and Press Taylor. They're lumped together. And then they're coming after Trevor Lawrence. Let's begin with the head coach and the offensive coordinator. He's been very salty towards you guys in the media the last couple of weeks. I get it with the frustration. But yesterday after Houston, he made the comment that, the play calling situation was brought up, and he said, look, it's a 2-way street. Players got to make plays. How do you feel that's going to be received in the Jaguar locker room?
Well, nobody complained about it today, and but there weren't that many guys that came in the locker room. But there were enough, and they were asking about the mood of the team and if anybody's getting discouraged. So I think even if it hadn't been received well, I'm not sure that they would have told us the day after the game. I do think Doug has a point. Okay, I think that the players have been in position to make plays. We'll go back to what I was saying before. Okay, is it bad play calling when Gabe Davis lets the ball hit him in a face mask yesterday? Is it bad play calling when Christian Kirk is running 8 yards open and Trevor just shoots it over his head? That's what I'm wondering. Now, there's some situational things that I have a bone to pick with Doug. And, for example, the 4th and 1 yesterday, 4th and 1 quarterback sneak, you've had a timeout in between quarters to consider this play because the third down play was the last play of the third quarter. Okay? So now you've got 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes to consider this play, and you go out there and you run an empty backfield, quarterback draw. McCourty on TV called it before the snap. When they came out there, he said it's going to be a quarterback draw, and it's not there. Okay? So now, if Brandon Scherff had executed the block there instead of leaning his guy into Trevor, then maybe you have something. If Trevor had run a little bit to his left, there was an opening there. But I question having an empty backfield on 4th and goal and asking an interior offensive lineman to make a block that they haven't made all year. Okay, and I'm talking about Mitch Morse, I'm talking about Brandon Scherff, and I'm talking about Ezra Cleveland. Okay, I would call those guys out more than anything. The tackles played pretty good yesterday, Harrison and Robinson, and Doug made it a point to praise them today, and Trevor got sacked only one time. Now, that one sack was huge. It was at a huge moment, and it happened because Trevor, I thought, made that spin move to the left. They got to get that out of the system somehow because nothing good happens when he spins out to his left out of the pocket. He either does it too soon or he goes right into the arms of somebody. I don't like that. And then you go back to the Cleveland when he got tackled for the safety. Okay, you come out 11 personnel, 1 back, 1 tight end, and then you're asking your rookie wide receiver to do a deep double move. You don't have Trevor does not have the time to execute that, given the play of the offensive line this season. Why would you have any kind of confidence that they were going to execute that? This is what I'm talking about as far as play calling. I don't think there's anything wrong with the plays. I think there's some plays being called in the wrong situations. And as far as the Press Taylor thing, I think that is overblown at this point. I don't think it matters anything about Press Taylor because Doug has the capability. He's on the headphones. He's got the play chart. He can overrule any call that Press makes. So I don't even think we should be discussing Press Taylor anymore. I think it's a Doug issue. If you have questions about the play calling, if you have questions about the personnel, the situational football, it's going to be on Doug and Doug alone because, like I said, he can overrule anything Press does. And if he doesn't overrule a call that Press makes, then tacitly that means Doug approves of it. So it's still on him.
Couple more for Gary Smits of the Florida Times-Union. All right, Gary, you mentioned Trevor Lawrence. Let's get to him next. A lot of criticism on the quarterback. Those overthrows yesterday were just killers. That simply can't happen, man. I think Trevor knows that, but they continue to happen this year. I mean, in your opinion, what's wrong with Trevor Lawrence right now?
Doug said today that he's like a golfer who has a lot of adrenaline going on in a pressure situation, and he should take one less club into the green, or else he's going to blow the usual yardage over the green. The problem is that Trevor doesn't have 14 arms. He's got one arm, okay? And, and unless he figures out a way to not throw 90-mile-an-hour fastballs on 8-yard patterns, or as in the case of that one pattern to Kirk yesterday, put a little air underneath it because all he had to do was throw it, as they said on TV, all he had to do was throw it to the corner. Throw it to the corner post, and Christian would have just run under it, okay? Because he had the defender beat that bad. All he had to do was not underthrow that thing by 10 yards. So, and then the one to Brian Thomas, which needed some air on it that he was diving for the end zone. Now, I think Brian Thomas could have made that catch. And I think in other situations, I think he will make that catch going down the road for him. Because I think that kid is getting better every game. I think that's the one offensive bright spot. They just had to Tank Bigsby the way he played. But then you go back to another thing. Tank Bigsby makes a 58-yard run. They get down inside on the goal line, and then he's in there to take the next snap. I'm not – and Travis Etienne, his shoulder was fine. He's already been back in the game, and he's already made some plays. So why isn't Travis Etienne getting that snap? One more thing I don't understand. But get back to Trevor. Yes, he has displayed a remarkable inaccuracy when it comes to how hard, how high, how deep, how short. The Buffalo Bills pass that he sailed over Brian Thomas's head, the accuracy's not there. And, nobody can do anything about that except for Trevor.
Gary, as we begin to wrap up, so many questions going into this Indianapolis game. Let's focus on that game, but let's first give a moment to Tom Coughlin, who's going into the Pride on Sunday. Just your thoughts about TC taking his spot up there on that wall in that stadium.
Well, Tom Coughlin, it's all about timing. Tom was the right man for this job at the right time. He had to build a franchise from the ground up. The guy literally was operating in a trailer at the construction site of this stadium that I'm looking at right now. And they gave him free rein to hire everybody. He was hiring the secretaries and the janitors, I think. And all of them were on the same page as far as, making this franchise great. And there was never a detail too small for Tom. And I don't know how he did it, to tell you the truth. But he and then goes on to the Giants and wins a couple of Super Bowls and everything. Why that man isn't in the Hall of Fame right now, I'll never know. As Fred Taylor put it last week during a press conference, 2 Super Bowls, what more does he need to prove? And taking an expansive franchise to the best days that this franchise has ever had twice, and he had a hand in a team being 2 steps away from the Super Bowl 3 times. Twice when he was a coach and once when he was the executive director, vice president of in 2017. So, everything that has been positive about this franchise, kind of funny, almost happened when Tom Coughlin had his fingerprints on it.
Gary, final question. Coughlin goes in. They're wearing the throwback uniforms. Can they get their first win of the year against an Indianapolis team that hasn't won down here since 2014? I mean, it's been a decade. Law of averages, man, would tell you they've lost 3 heartbreakers. At some point, one of these close games is going to fall their way. Does that happen on Sunday? Do they beat Indianapolis, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a lot that's going to be going for them, and they're coming home for the first time in 3 weeks. They won't be home again for 21 days because of the 2 games in London. And I think these guys rally. I thought the few players I talked to in the locker room today seemed fairly upbeat. Ventrell Miller could hardly wait to get out there and play again. And I thought, and Doug was a lot more upbeat today than he was after the game. So I think that might filter down all the way to the from head coach down to the players. The Colts are beat up. We don't know whether Anthony Richardson is going to come in, but of course that means Joe Flacco plays, and we all know what happened in that game against the Browns last year. When they pulled Joe Flacco off his couch and took his bag of Doritos away from him, pulled him off the couch, and he went in there and lit the Jaguars up. And of course this franchise having a history of losing to backup quarterbacks. If you look back, it's uncanny. But they're injured in a lot of other ways. Kwity Paye may not play. Jonathan Taylor may not play. So, but then we've seen that movie before, where a team comes in battered and beaten and injured and somehow managed to beat the Jaguars. So we'll see. But I think all the conditions are right for this team to get their first W on Sunday.
Gary Smits, Florida Times Union, Jacksonville.com. Smitter, I know you're busy. Thank you for taking time out, man. We'll talk soon.
Sure, no problem. Glad to have you.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air, Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since '87.
And thank you to Gary Smits of the Florida Times Union and Jacksonville.com for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark, as every one of us trying to figure out what has gone wrong in the first month. The Jaguars at 0-4. And now, I mean, reality is you're probably not making the playoffs, right? I think you've succumbed to that realization. You just take 1 week at a time and just kind of see what happens, right? So Indianapolis comes in. Tom Coughlin's going to get inducted into the pride of the Jaguars. The Jaguars will be wearing their throwback unis. Indy hasn't won here in a decade, and you hope that the law of averages, you've lost 3 heartbreakers. You hope that at some point you'll win one of these close games and perhaps maybe That'll come on Sunday with the Jaguars and the Indianapolis Colts. Of course, a game you will hear right here on 1010XL Radio Sunday at 1 o'clock. We talked a lot about that. Obviously talked a lot of college football. Florida State's in free fall. Again, I mean, Florida State's 1-4. The Gators are 2-2. The Jaguars are 0-4. A combined record of 3-10 for the Seminoles, the Gators, and the Jaguars here. The first part of the football season, it has been awful. There is literally only one way to go, and that's up. And we'll see if that begins to happen this week. All three teams, Florida State hosting Clemson. By no means will that be easy. Florida hosting UCF in what should be a very interesting game down in Gainesville. And again, the Jaguars will be hosting the Indianapolis Colts. Well, that'll just about do it. It has been a very busy Monday night edition of Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. On a little later tonight, because a lot of these high school football games had to be made up from the cancellations last Friday. So we appreciate you guys staying up a little later with us here on Hacker After Dark. We have a ton of people to thank. Gary Smits, Florida Times Union, Jacksonville.com. We always love talking ball with Smitter. Thank you to Justin Barney of Channel 4 for stopping by as he does with us here on Hacker After Dark. We had Gene Fournette of the Times Union talking Jaguars, and back in hour number 1, a little Monday night coaching with Campo. Dave Campo, former head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. You get him every week right here on Hacker After Dark. We will be back tomorrow night on a Tuesday, and we will do it all over again beginning at 8 o'clock. Casey Dobson was your producer tonight. Casey, great job as always. I'm the Hacker Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Monday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have an absolutely terrific remainder of your Monday evening, and we will talk to you again tomorrow night on a Tuesday beginning at 8 o'clock. Until then, good night, Jacksonville.